Hi, this is John with Rescued Rollers. I'm here with Jill and Mr. Apollo, who is probably going to have to wake up in a few minutes. We thought you might like to see how we try and manage his diabetes on a daily basis. We work with a program or a schedule called Test, Feed, and Inject. So every 12 hours, what we do, here's some of the equipment I'm going to go through in a second. We test him first, then we feed him, and then we give him his insulin dose. So before we feed him, we do the test first. What we have here is this is going to be the pet meter. This is going to give us our glucose reading just like for a human, only it's calibrated for pets. We've got a test strip that is going to go into that meter when we're ready. We have a problem with Apollo. His skin is so thick because he's had years worth of skin infections that we have problems getting a blood sample. This device is called a Gentile. It's made for human pediatric diabetes cases. And what happens when you press this button, you can see there's a little red lancet in there. There's a needle. When you press this button, it sticks them with a needle real quick, and then the back will come out. There's some vacuum in there, and after 10 or 15 seconds, it will pull a bead of blood out for us. Once we take the test before we feed him, we take a look at his blood levels. Now, right now, it's not a problem because they're high, but if he would have low blood glucose or if he would vomit, we can reduce the dose of insulin we give him according to how much he ate or what his blood numbers are. Now, Joe goes through this every 12 hours. Once he's tested, we've got food measured out to the gram for every meal so that food does not become a variable in his blood glucose. If we were to measure by 1 cup or 2, each cup can be off by several grams, and it'll have the effect on his blood sugar that we don't want. We want consistency. So we've got the syringe ready. The insulin right now is in the refrigerator. This Gentile lancet, we take our blood test off of his elbow callus. So we put a little bit of Vaseline on it first, and what that will do is give us a good seal for the suction on the Gentile, and it will also help pull the blood into a nice little drop, because we have real problems with that with Apollo. These are the lancets we preload. You can't see the needle right now because the cap is on. And his blood glucose is high. Right now it's 400 and 500. We're still working on adjusting his dose. And so anything over 300 can be dangerous. They can develop ketones that are very bad for their system. It can actually be fatal or very serious. And if he has a lot of ketones, we're talking a trip to the emergency vet. So anytime he is over 300 on his glucose reading, we have a ketone strip, and Jill grabs a urine sample and we can test for ketones. And he would go to the vet. So far, we have not had any ketones. That's a good thing. But if we start seeing ketones, he goes to the vet right away. Now, this is what we do every 12 hours, every day. Jill kind of has to work her schedule around this. This does not include his eye medicines or the antibiotics he's on or anything like this. What you're seeing tonight is what Jill does every 12 hours just for his diabetic management. Now, once a week, until we can get his dose correct or until we have other issues, we also run what is called a curve. We take the testing that you're about to see, and every 2 hours for 12 hours, we take his number and we plot it and we graph it out so that we can have a visual representation of how his blood sugar is reacting to the insulin. Each type of insulin has its own profile. Some work quickly, some are intermediate. This chart gives us a good idea of what's going on and will help us to determine if we need to change his dose. So that's the short version. Let's go ahead and get him tested so we don't keep you too long. We're going to have Jill get Apollo. We're going to put some Vaseline on his elbow callus, and we're going to get the meter ready and the Gentile, and she's going to show us how it's done.
Making sure the needle is going to come out so it's in there straight, and I think it is. Okay, so Vaseline. It's too much. Right. for test.
All right, and I'm gonna.
Time for test. Okay. Time for
And
test.
she always, that's one thing. Apollo is blind. And so we always give him verbal cues on what we're going to do. And that helps him to understand what's coming and it stops any surprise.
Okay, done go.
We're going to see if we can't get a drop of blood here for testing. We'll do the best we can to show you.
Good boy. Good boy, Apollo. Yeah, it's all right.
And after she does, when she presses this button, you'll hear it go. That quickly lances him. Right now it's got suction on it till she released it. And we may have to do that again. I don't know if we got enough because that released the suction when she hit the button.
That's what we normally do.
Let's see what happens. And there we go. We got a nice little piece of blood, a little drop of blood there. We're going to test it. Watch how that tester, that strip just sucks it right up. And that little window on the top of the strip, right? All right, we're at 476. So we're good. We do not have to make any insulin adjustments. The insulin adjustments are if he's at 200 or below. So we are now going to get ready to give him his dinner. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video and we're going to get him fed. And we're going to come back 10 or 15 minutes after we get him fed. And so we can show you how to do the injection. Thank you. Okay, we're back. Apollo has finished his meal about 15 or 20 minutes ago, so it's now safe to inject his insulin. He hasn't vomited. He completed his full meal. His blood glucose is still pretty high. It's well over 200, so we do not need to adjust his insulin. Normally, well, this gets a little tricky. Normally, where you can inject the insulin is a couple inches down from either side of the spine. You do not necessarily want to inject it in the scruff because it doesn't absorb properly and it will also cause scar tissue bumps from the injection, whereas along the side of the spine it does not. Jill's going to go ahead and give him his injection so I can show you that. What we try and do, I'm going to show you on the scruff just because it's easier if Jill will hold my light for me. You may not be able to see this when she does it, so what we do when we try to inject is we tent the skin like a tent, and right below my thumb where the light is shining you can see a skin. That's where we do the injection, at the bottom of the tent, and it's a subcutaneous injection, so it goes under the skin. It does not go in any muscles or veins. It just goes under the skin and it gets absorbed into his system. Jill's got a technique she's worked out with him, positive reinforcement and a reward for getting a shot like a big boy. She puts a little treat together with frozen green beans and a little bit of shredded chicken breast. Those items will not affect his blood glucose. And so what we're going to do is she's going to get him ready, and while he's eating his treat, he's going to get his injection. So let's go ahead and do that. Ooh, he knows.
Ready? Are you ready? Here we go. There we go. Good boy.
And after the injection, she just holds it for 1 quick second or a little bit of that, and we're good. Now he's had his test, he's had his injection. You can see we've got a bare spot shaved back here because we tried to get blood back there, but we have not been successful testing anywhere except for his elbow callus. And he's good with his treat, and that's all for today's lesson, so I don't keep you for too long.
Hold on.
Thanks, everybody.